Hello everybody and welcome to Southampton Central of all places. Once again I've gone outside of my Somerset jurisdiction and found my way into deepest, darkest Hampshire. Now if you haven't read the title of today's video, or if you haven't you just can't remember it, here I am at Southampton Central and today I'm going to ride on some of Bluestar's, that is Go South Coast Southampton Operations, best vehicles, and that is the ADL Enviro 400 or Enviro 400 Trident Optare Olympuses. These are basically Enviro 400 Tridents with Optare Olympus bodies, and they are quite unique, used to operate in London and have been given a new fresh life here in Southampton, or at least they did, although saying that they are now starting to slowly be withdrawn. Here is my first one, which is on the 19 service, and I'll be taking this up to Shirley. It only took about 10 minutes, but the more Olympuses I get on, the better. As I leave the Southampton Central area, you can see some of Bluestar's most iconic vehicles. These being the Enviro 200 MMCs, these operate everywhere, and the Enviro 400 city buses, which also operate everywhere, including on Bluestar's Unilink network. I believe Unilink used to be a separate thing, but it is now merged with Bluestar. Now, Bluestar have been quite good in Southampton and have built up quite a good bus network. Not as good as the one in Poole and Bournemouth, but better than some of the other bus networks I've come across in my time riding around on buses throughout the West Country. Now, although Southampton isn't really in the West Country, I do quite like their buses here, and they are probably some of the best in the West Country. They've built up quite a good bus network here, and I think it does help that they are the sole operator in Southampton, since a few other operators such as Stagecoach and Excella Bus have given up their operations. As we approach the hive of activity, which is Shirley Town Centre, here we are passing another Dennis Trident Optare Olympus. Although they are technically Enviro 400 Tridents, I think I'm just going to refer to them as Dennis Tridents from now on. It just makes them sound and feel a lot better. Here is this Dennis Trident Optare Olympus leaving Shirley on the 19 service heading towards Southampton General Hospital and Lord's Hill. Now I do quite like the Trident Olympuses, I think they look quite iconic, and especially in Southampton they still have working blinds, which I think is brilliant, and that does mean that all of the Olympuses tend to stay on one or two routes, these being the 19 and 19A routes, and so they're only routes that the buses are actually blinded up, which I think is brilliant. Although saying that, I did want to get some variety in, so heading back to Southampton Central, I actually got an 18 service, which is formed by an ADL Enviro 400 City, which is some of the newest buses in the Bluestar fleet, and I actually quite like them.
Next stop, Grove Road. 18 to city centre and Thornhill. Next stop, Sir George's Road.
Here I am arriving back at Southampton Central Station. There goes another Trident Olympus, followed by an MMC, arriving into Southampton Central. I believe it is on the 19 service, but I could be wrong, since the back blind wasn't actually working. I decided to hang on though, since there was another Trident Olympus, this time on the 19A service, which is a route I hadn't actually been on before in Southampton. Although saying that, before today I hadn't actually been on any routes in Southampton. As one of the Scania Omni-Cities, one of the only Scania Omni-Cities in the Bluestar fleet, parks up at Southampton Central, here is another Trident Olympus arriving into Southampton Central Station, or at least the bus stops outside it. This bus is on the 19A service, and I will take this to Richard Taunton College, or just before. I didn't want to look like a college student, after all I'm not one. And anyways, I had to film quite discreetly on this bus, since the bus driver didn't like me filming very much. Here I am getting off at one of the stops located adjacent to Richard Taunton College, or just before I think. Here's my next Trident Olympus arriving at Richard Taunton College. This was the best one, this was the one I had the longest journey on, since I decided to go straight into Southampton city centre by Vincent's Walk, and I managed to get the back seat and the entire back row to myself, apart from my grandparents, on this route. So this is actually quite a nice run into the city centre. As I arrive into Southampton Central, here I am passing a Salisbury Red Scania Omni-City. Although Salisbury Reds is part of the Go Ahead group, Salisbury Reds operate the X7 and X7R services from Salisbury to Southampton, with the X7R running via Romsey instead of Bluestar, which does seem a little bit strange. Anyway, here I am trundling into Southampton Centre.
Against building sites, so they won't see all this. Focus on some there. It's not that bad now, I don't even go and say no to get my baby, but what? I'm trying to pull through it. Only got people one way.
Here I am arriving into Vincent's Walk. Just before I get off the bus, you can see the very strange seats that a lot of these Trident Olympuses have. I believe it was a Go Ahead London thing, and many buses that entered service around the same time as the Trident Olympuses also had these seats. They're decent seats. They're comfortable and not comfortable. They're those kind of seats. Anyway, here I am crossing the road to unfortunately get on my last Trident Olympus of the day, since because I live so far away and the train service isn't great along the line that I used to get to Southampton, I had to leave Southampton at 1:37, which wasn't great, but at least I managed to get down here for a start, and that was brilliant. Anyway, here comes my last Trident Olympus. Here I am arriving into Southampton Central for the final time, at least for now. You never know, I may come back to Southampton very soon to ride on some more awesome buses, since I actually quite like the bus network here. And there are a few buses I actually weren't expecting to see here, such as the standard Enviro 400s, which entered service around the same time as the Trident Olympuses. At least I think so, they might be a year later, but I weren't expecting to see any of them. Anyway, as this Dennis Trident Optare Olympus leaves on the 19 service towards Shirley, Southampton General Hospital and Lord's Hill, thank you very much for watching this video, and I will see you in the next one, probably on the buses, but I could be on the trains, you never know. Bye everyone!